And yet further efforts by convicted felon Donald Trump to not turn over the Epstein files, and oh hey, to not fund SNAP benefits, and oh hey, to screw over millions of Americans, we're now learning that Trump is trying to flash something attractive to his supporters concerning people like John Brennan, Peter Strzok, and Lisa Page. The US Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, a guy named Jason Redding Quiñones, he's a die-hard MAGA Trump loyalist. Why he has a job like that? Typical for this administration. But he's now had his office issue at least 30 subpoenas concerning an investigation into people like John Brennan, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, Russiagate. Now, let's kind of peel back the layers of this onion because it's 100% worthwhile focusing upon. And if you are listening, Trump supporters, to this episode, ask yourself why what I'm about to explain to you even has to come to pass if there's truly evidence of a crime afoot. Let's get into it. Okay, so the latest reporting is the following. The Southern District of Florida in the Miami office has been currently seeking to get staff and outside lawyers to join a new investigative team that's going to be housed within its national security unit. A federal judge recently impaneled a grand jury where? In Fort Pierce, Florida, that's going to convene on January 12th. Now let's hit pause for a second. Why does Fort Pierce sound so familiar, you might ask yourself? Oh, well, hey, shit. That's where Judge Eileen Cannon is located. You remember her? The one who put her thumb on the scale for the classified documents, Espionage Act criminal prosecution of felon Trump? That judge, yeah, she's in the Fort Pierce courthouse. Did you know? Do you remember? She's the only federal judge for the Southern District of Florida in that courthouse. But yeah, so that's where the new grand jury is going to be convening on January 12th. Now, why? Well, because of the following. There is this bullshit conspiracy theory that is being advanced by MAGA loyalists that, and this is according to the New York Times reporting, a quote, cabal of Democrats and deep state operatives, possibly led by former President Barack Obama, has worked to destroy Trump in a years-long plot spanning the inquiry into his 2016 campaign to the charges he faced after leaving office, end quote. I shit you not. If that was not some fucking tinfoil energy going on, I do not know what qualifies. But that Trump-appointed U.S. Attorney Redding Quiñones has now issued more than 24 subpoenas, including into officials who took part in the inquiry into ties between Russia and Trump's 2016 presidential campaign. I already mentioned Peter Strzok and Lisa Page. It also includes James Clapper Jr., the former director of national intelligence. Now, what do the subpoenas focus upon? They are currently seeking production of communications that span a specific time period, which I'm going to get into in a second. What they're looking for is focusing on this January 2017 intelligence community assessment about Russian interference in the 2016 election, particularly the role played by the former CIA director John Brennan in drafting that assessment. Now, this investigation started after DOJ officials received a criminal referral by intel officials in the Trump administration. Now, here's where I really want you Trump supporters to be focusing on. And hear me out, okay? The criminal investigation was originally assigned to a guy named David Metcalf. He was the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania. He was given special authority to investigate and prosecute, possibly, if there was PC, probable cause there, John Brennan. Metcalf, who is a veteran prosecutor of the U.S. Attorney's Office. He has held multiple senior DOJ positions during the first Trump administration. So this guy's somebody who's been battle-tested during a Trump administration. He was given a, quote, relatively narrow mandate in the authorization provided to him, according to the New York Times. His mandate was to examine John Brennan's work on the intelligence assessment that was back in 2017. Quote, Metcalf struggled to advance a case that was regarded as weak by current and former department officials, end quote. Does that not sound familiar to you? It's the same shit that transpired in the Eastern District of Virginia concerning what? James Comey. What? Letitia James, right? That's how we got Lindsay Halligan in and a qualified, competent, longtime federal prosecutor out Eric Siebert, remember him? Who refused to move forward with a weak case. Metcalf never got the chance to complete his work. Why, you may ask? Well, because in the fall, the DOJ transferred the investigation from Metcalf to who? Jason Redding Quiñones, the Southern District of Florida U.S. Attorney, as a part of a decision to, quote, greatly expand the scope of the Brennan investigation into other unspecified activities. The subpoenas that have been issued by Redding Quiñones' office seek documents or communications related to this intelligence community assessment from July 1st of 2016 through February 28th of 2017. It orders the recipients to provide those communications to federal prosecutors located in Miami by November 20th. It was at least 30 subpoenas that were approved on Friday. And an official who signed at least some of these subpoenas is the Executive Assistant United States Attorney by the name of Manolo Rebozo. In doing so, having Rebozo sign off on these subpoenas, the Southern District of Florida has bypassed long-time protocol within the Department of Justice by having somebody at an executive level sign off on them versus whom? I don't know, the line prosecutors that actually know the case well enough to be able to sign off on subpoenas. It's just typical standard operating procedure to just have the line prosecutors sign off and issue these subpoenas. The Executive Assistant U.S. Attorney Rebozo is the third highest ranked official in the Southern District of Florida, but his role typically just does what? It oversees office operations and human relations matters in coordinating with the Department of Justice in D.C. Now, after this whole ball got rolling, you know what has happened? And again, this has been happening across the United States, especially in DOJ offices that have been a part of these bullshit investigations, subpoenas, and now prosecutions. At least 2 of the line prosecutors that were put on this investigation into Brennan et al., those line prosecutors have now since resigned. One of the prosecutors told a source that told MSNBC that they felt like there was, NBC News, they felt like there was something they could not take a part in because it would violate their ethical responsibilities. At least 2 prosecutors have resigned. Abruptly is the adverb that was used, and under duress after being asked to join the grand jury investigation. They left the Southern District of Florida following a tense meeting within which superiors were accusing them of leaking info about their new assignment to the media or discussing it with colleagues. Now let's focus a little bit more on the kind of things that are going on in the Southern District of Florida right now that are incredibly unusual and happening under the tenure and the direction of Jason Redding Quiñones. Number 1, the National Security Unit has long been within the Southern District of Florida's criminal division. But last week, Redding Quiñones actually took away from the chief of the criminal division authority over the National Security Unit and has literally moved the National Security Group, its physical location, to somewhere else in the U.S. Attorney's Office, as well as saying that you now no longer report to the criminal division head, you actually report to the executive office of the U.S. Attorneys. Now, the timing is everything, is it not? This move by Redding Quiñones to switch out the National Security Office, not only its chain of command, but also its location, happened just 14 hours after a MAGA far-right influencer by the name of Jack Posobiec denounced the current criminal chief, Peter Forand, on X, the cesspool. Why? Because Forand donated $2,300 to the 2024 Kamala Harris presidential campaign and other Democratic causes. Posobiec criticizes Forand on social media, and then 14 hours later, Redding Quiñones changes this whole thing up, and then 2 hours after Redding Quiñones' emails internally at the U.S. Attorney's Office, this new leadership structure, Posobiec goes back on to X and says, update, I'm hearing good things on this. I will remind you that Jack Posobiec was not only the guy who promoted the false Pizzagate conspiracy theory that led to a far-right supporter shooting up a pizza parlor in D.C., but Posobiec is also known for promoting anti-Semitic and white nationalist theories. Now, the national security unit space that Peter Foran used to take up, the head of major crimes, the criminal division, where Peter Foran used to literally have his physical office, now it's taken up by a new chief of staff to the US Attorney, which is, quote, an unusual position under any top prosecutor, according to Bloomberg Law. And that chief of staff is a guy named Jim Poland, an FBI agent who's overseeing the office's, quote, non-litigation and administrative functions. Late last month, in October, reading Quiñones' message to all employees at the Southern District of Florida, reminding them about DOJ rules forbidding them from having, quote, unauthorized communications with the press. Now, those two AUSAs, those federal prosecutors that resigned that I just talked about a couple of minutes ago, one is a registered Republican and the other is a veteran. And they were considered rising stars within the office. Now, somebody's name popped up in all of this media coverage, and his name is Mike Davis. Do you want to know who Mike Davis is? I'll remind you who Mike Davis is. Do you remember how just 2 weeks ago, Mike Davis posted on X, again, the cesspool, he posted this about people in SNAP benefits, food stamps, saying to them that they should get off their fat ghetto asses to stop reproducing and to change their shitty culture and to stop giving food stamps to immigrants. That Mike Davis, yeah, he's besties with Jason Redding Quiñones, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida. In fact, he came and he spoke at Redding Quiñones' investiture. He's called for his friend to investigate the Democrats about the Mar-a-Lago execution of a search warrant for the Classified Documents Espionage Act criminal investigation and prosecution of Donald Trump. Look, people, it's really disgusting how incestuous it all is. But I haven't even gotten to the best part. Debt from credit cards is not an accident. It's actually a system designed to keep Americans down. The banks are profiting. The creditors are winning, but who's losing? Oh, the families. Because with every one of those horrible calls, with every fee, for every high interest trap that exists, that's just proof positive that the game is rigged. But people, it doesn't have to be this way. PDS debt has already helped hundreds of thousands of people get out of debt faster. They've helped them cut that debt, end those calls, and get the money back where it belongs, in Americans' pockets and not in the banks. So whether you're struggling with credit cards, with medical debt, with personal loans, PDS debt is here to go beyond just the numbers. They help you craft a unique, personalized plan that is custom to you and your needs. And there's no minimum credit score required. They're just here to help you save more, to cut your debt faster, and to get the money back where it belongs, in your pocket. PDS debt boasts, are you ready? A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and a 5-star status review on Trustpilot. Why? Because PDS debt has already helped hundreds of thousands of people get out of debt. If I needed a product like this, I would use PDS debt. So what are you waiting for? Right? It's your money. It's your future. Why are you going to let the system figure it out for you? Just go and get a free assessment. You're less than 30 seconds away from it. Just go and get the free assessment with pdsdebt.com/Phang. That's Phang. pdsdebt.com/Phang. And just in case you didn't get it, pdsdebt.com/Phang. And get that help you need. Alrighty. Let's talk about some of the issues that are coming to ahead about this. Number one. There have been 2 previous investigations, one by the DOJ's Inspector General and the other by Special Counsel John Durham, who is a Donald Trump appointed special counsel. They've both looked into John Brennan and others, and they have found nothing there. When I say there is nothing, they have literally found nothing there. Okay? There is no evidence to support charges against Brennan and other officials. Furthermore, there's a statute of limitations problems here. There's a 5-year statute of limitations issue on any of these crimes, allegedly. The intelligence assessment happened 9 years ago, back in 2017, if not earlier. And the Russia inquiry into the Russian influence into the presidential campaign of Donald Trump ended in 2019, when then special counsel Robert Mueller issued his report. So what exactly are they investigating? Because none of the subpoenas that have been issued by Redding Quiñones' office speak to the potential crimes that are being investigated. And in fact, as we talked about, if you look at the time frame, it's 2016, 2017. So any statute of limitations would have run. Now, there are some people that are saying, oh, well, the Mar-a-Lago raid is linked to it. Get the fuck out of here, people. If you have to fucking bootstrap your subpoenas with that shit, then you got some weak sauce criminal probable cause. Let's spend a little bit of time on Redding Quiñones even further, because I think this is exceptional reporting from the Miami Herald. It's actually back from February of 2025, but it's worthwhile sharing. After a lifetime of going by the name Jason Redding, R-E-D-I-N-G, suddenly he added the last name Quiñones to his surname in December of 2023 when he applied to the judicial opening for county court bench, meaning the state court, county court judicial opening. And I'll remind you, these judicial openings are done by gubernatorial appointment, meaning DeSantis does these appointments, right? According to the Herald, it's not even clear if Quiñones is a family name because the 44-year-old judge, or then judge, Redding, never publicly explained why it suddenly appeared on his application to the Florida Judicial Nominating Commission when he was trying to become a county court judge. Now, here's the crazy thing. So we know that Redding Quiñones actually used to work where? In the US Attorney's Office in Miami, okay? But check this out. During Redding Quiñones' 4 years in the major crime section, he received poor evaluations from supervisors who cited to his incompetence. In turn, Redding filed a complaint against the U.S. Attorney's Office, claiming it was discriminating against him as a white man whose temporary work as an Air Force reservist prevented him from performing at the same full-time level as other federal prosecutors in the major crime section. I shit you not. He filed a complaint of discrimination because he's a white man, Jason Redding, because he got incompetent evaluations. Well, his evaluations were poor because he was incompetent as a federal prosecutor. Then he took an extended leave from the office in 2020 to 2021 to serve in the Air Force Reserves, came back to the U.S. Attorney's Office, dropped his discrimination complaint. Why? Because he agreed to be reassigned to the Civil Division, which deals with non-criminal prosecutions. And Trump, of course, was in love with Redding when he nominated him. Redding, who's a member of the Federalist Society, right? Okay, well, let's talk about this for a hot second, right? Because putting aside whether you're a MAGA loyalist or not, if you're a competent prosecutor, I'll give you a little bit of fucking grace. But this Redding Quiñones, this guy clearly can't even do his job competently as a prosecutor, and he runs one of the largest U.S. Attorney's Office in the United States. A U.S. Attorney's Office, by the way, that started summarily firing people at the beginning of this year after Trump was sworn into office in January of 2025. Who got fired? Oh, I don't know. How about people like Michael Thacker, who was one of the U.S. attorneys that was a part of the criminal prosecution of Donald Trump for putting classified documents in the crapper at Mar-a-Lago. You know, skilled, competent DOJ attorneys have been fired across the country because they are accused of having done, I don't know, the right thing through their investigations and prosecutions of a felon like Donald Trump. And yet somebody like Redding Quiñones, who, number one, we don't even know where Quiñones is or comes from. Redding, we don't even know what the hell that is, but he wasn't even competent enough to basically keep his job or have his job, right? Make it make sense, people. Oh, I know how to make it make sense, because none of it makes sense. Because it's all weaponization of the Department of Justice to go after people, period, end of story. It's a disgusting abuse of power. And now we see that it's just a waste of time, money, energy, and now prosecutors are resigning. And you know what? If I were you, and I don't care if you voted for Trump or not, I would be fucking worried about your safety, because public safety is something that does not know party affiliation. And if you can't even get federal prosecutions to be done competently, there's a problem. Just ask the people in New Jersey. Alina Habba was invalidly appointed as the US Attorney in New Jersey, and federal criminal prosecutions ain't even fucking happening under her tenure anymore. We need better people in these positions, and it's certainly not going to be Jason Redding Quiñones. Be mad, be outraged, demand accountability. Let's go rattle some cages. Katie Phang here. We launched the Katie Phang News Channel in partnership with the Midas Touch Network so we could bring you the latest in legal and political news. Straight, no chaser. So if you're a fellow truth teller, hit that subscribe button and share the word about this channel so we can build a high information America together.